Now, if your boyfriend is the jealous type and like him sleeping with the enemy, you can't get away from him or something. That ain't up to me. That's up to you, right? You're choosing to stay with him in that situation, for example, right? Now, for instance, Kanye and Kim are having difficulties with her dating Pete, right? And again, why is that, right? Kanye can't let her go in a way, you know. He's trying to hold on to the relationship, though he's acting batshit crazy, and wonders why Pete, who, has a few tattoos and is a cast member on SNL, why Kim would be more interested in him than Kanye right now. Well, Kanye is acting three kinds of batshit, right? Crazy, right? And don't get why she don't want to be around that with her and her children, right? Again, right? I get it, right? if I'm disabled, I tell you, hey, this stuff is on the floor. It just fell there, and I don't care, right? Right now, I'll live alone. I live alone, right? It don't bother me. My coupons are on the floor. No biggie. No big deal. I'm not an eat freak, right? Like him sleeping with the enemy. Some men are, though, honey. And you gotta wonder why, though, right? Because they were raised a neat freak by their parents, right? And you gotta beware of neat freaks, right? Neat freaks want it snippity snappity. How it's supposed to be. But they forget they're the reason, right? If you have to cook and clean for them anyway, right? There's a mess in the house most of the time anyway. Me, like a normal person, if I set down my bottle of medication, it usually stays there until I need it, right? Especially if I got a bunch of medications in suddenly from the VA or something, right? I just set them on the shelf, and if I need them, I use them. If I don't, they stay there, right? I don't really even touch them again, right? But they're not bothering nobody sitting there on the dresser top, right? Or whatever's up there, right? It's only, if anything, can collect dust. And again, we're all made of dust. By the way, if you understand what that means, certain particles in the Earth's environment was used by whatever designed our body to function with it in us. This is what you have a problem dealing with, angels from hell, and trying to drag everybody down to hell with you. You don't realize even how dark your mind is. How silly you are. And how crazy you're doing things. And think you're sane. You don't even know what sanity is anymore. Right? So you all seem a little crazy to me. But like, I guess the songwriter still says, I guess you'll never survive unless with the crazy people, you get a little crazy yourself, huh? Because see, I was fine mentally before I entered the Navy, right? I was dealing, right? I was waiting for marriage even, right? And was trying to avoid even premarital sex. So I felt a girl up. I got a boner from her. Things of that nature. Dating things you do. I know what sex I'm attracted to. Even if some people are confused and whatever you want to call it, attracted to the same sex because that's how I was taught, anyway. And I'm a, you know, third grade child going to summer camp And I'm making out with the girls already. Figure that one out. While the other boys are playing circle, circle, dot, dot, now they got their cootie shot. I know. I don't even care about freaking cooties. I'm making out with the girl next door, who I happen to hit it off with. And I'm with the same or a different girl every year. I'm out there. I never got why boys don't like girls. I just never understood. I even liked Wonder Woman, because I thought she was hot, right? Not because, And I guess I'm wired a little differently, huh? I don't know, right? But I always was somewhat interested in the opposite sex, not the same, right? I'm not saying that automatically makes you gay and that when you hit puberty you can't be interested in girls suddenly, but I didn't have that issue. I didn't have to wait till puberty. I like the opposite sex. In fact, like I told you, I was playing doctor probably before I was 5. I don't know. Before I even went to school good, right? Maybe first, second, and third grade, right? But I did have a cousin try to do something with me in the tub one time, right? But that was a male, right? But that was kind of him being the aggressor there, not me, don't you? With the girls, I'm the aggressor. I'm trying to be with the girl, right? But the cousin I was taking the bath with was the aggressor there. And then I'm not sure what me and my stepbrother were doing in the bathtub, but Big Roddy got upset over, like I said, scratching some soap, right? And neither one of us knew who scratched the soap, right? Or what that was even about, right? As children, we don't even know what you talk about. We were just babying in the tub. What, was I on top of Mark or Mark on top of me? Was I trying to have sex with him? There's more than meets the eye, whatever he was upset about. That had nothing to do with scratching soap or lying about it or even knowing we scratched it. That's why neither one of us knew what the hell he was talking about. Go figure, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'm still trying to be with girls after until, again, I run into the same cousin, right? When we go to visit my aunt in Pennsylvania, and she's still healthy, right? And they want me and him to pair up in the basement. And again, right? I'm already asleep, right? Right. I had a busy day seeing girls already, right? And I think I started having a wet dream around him and he overreacted, right? That's what I think happened, right? But I asked him, I went gay, right? On him. No, I'm asleep, dumbass. I don't care what you and your friends think about that. That ain't about you. I was already asleep before you came in. Whatever the hell you're doing with your friends, though, that made you homophobic, dumbass, right? To where you don't know the difference between a wet dream and someone really coming on to you, right? And that's your confusion, not mine, Chris Dumkowski. I know. And you can't get over it, not me. You were never a good step cousin or even a friend to the family that your dad married into. Hell, I hardly see Donna or Dana a lot, but I see them more than you. And of course, Dennis and Craig are my actual cousins, so I have more dealings with them, of course, right? But you're supposed to be a step cousin, right? You're supposed to be more mature than me. And what you did was not mature, Chris Domkowski. It's sheer stupidity and homophobia. Right? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You need to grow up, boy. You're still acting like a teenager trapped in his teenage years. and being bullied into something that you thought I was doing with you when I wasn't. And don't seem to even understand medical science and what that was, right? From what it wasn't, right? Because, see, I don't even remember waking up when you came in, right? Though if you took it the wrong way, what did you do, right? Did you try to take advantage of it, right? Because, see, if I don't know and I'm asleep, right, and you start messing back with me, right, you're the one who's awake, idiot, right? One is unconscious, one is conscious, right? When you're asleep, idiot, you're not yourself, I know. Even if my mom was next to me herself and I started having a wet dream, right? That's what it is. I'm humping a woman in my dreams. Not you. Get over it too, right? It's not about you. It's about a girl I probably saw earlier I was trying to impress. And the thing was, her friend with Down syndrome and me had the same arm size, right? And she was kind of embarrassing me about it, right? Even though I liked her, right? Now, I didn't do nothing about it. I didn't, not see it was true, right? We did have the same arm size, right? And we're about the same age, right? That's all that really happened, though. I didn't have sex with her or kiss her or she become my girlfriend or anything, but I still liked her despite what she did to kind of embarrass me about it, right? So that's her, kind of messing with me about it, not me saying anything, I just kind of liked her a little, And that's what I remember happening during the day, which would trigger the wet dream anyway. Right. Now, the wet dream happens during your sleepy time. You start humping the bed. It's not about who's next to you either. It just happens when you hit puberty, idiot. And I'm telling you that for a reason. Even my friend David Pelham woke up with a boner. I just didn't say nothing. Because I guess another friend of his who had a sleepover did. And he knew he was gay, right? So I just ignored it because I knew it was morning wood and not about me. Right. I just didn't look or stare. But I knew what it was. I had it happen to me before. Some people don't realize that ain't about sex. It's just about, you're having a dream in the night, right? And your body reacts sexually. Now that's why they talk about what's those things, not nymphs, but that's close, but sirens or something, right? What's those things those demons that mess with you when you're asleep and in your dreams? I forgot. But I know what it is, you know what I mean, right? Succubuses, that's it, right? Succubuses mess with you, and they're demons who mess with you when you're asleep, and they try to control you sexually when you're asleep. But if that's the case, we all have succubuses. Because we all sometimes wake up with morning wood if you're a male. It's not about the person you're with or not with. It don't make you gay or straight, right? Either. You do that as you get older, by the way. And I'm trying to teach us not to judge each other to hell about it. If you feel gay, I'm fine with that. Just ask me if I feel the same or not, right? And don't be upset if I say no. Life is full of what? Yes and no answers, right? To certain questions, right? If I say no, right, I don't say no to embarrass you, right? I just don't feel the same way. Mm-hmm. But if you don't understand that or you get upset, right, I can't help that reaction either. I just don't feel the same. All you can do is ask me and let me know how you feel about it, and I'll politely turn you down. Nothing. Sorry, I had that happen before. I had guys that kind of hit on me when I was trying to talk about God and sex, right? Myself, right? And we all got to deal with it, right? But I could tell the guy wanted the sex with me and me to play the woman, not him, right? So that wasn't going to happen, That's all I mean. And he didn't want to be my baby. You know what you're going to call it. He wanted me to play the woman. I ain't happening. Now, like I said, I was with an unusual woman during that time, being a sailor, and kind of in the Samson state of mind, right? Who was with a harlot or two himself, right? Married, but the marriage was partially interrupted, right? Now, they were throwing down until, right, he asked a question, right? And posed a riddle to them, right? And then they plowed his heifer to get the answer to the riddle. And that's why Delilah did the same thing to find the source of his strength, right? Which at the time had to do with his hair and the Nazarite vow. Now, the thing is this mythology real? You don't know. I mean, you've heard millions of myths about people with superhuman powers and what they may or may not have done to get them. Like Hercules was the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, so he inherited from the gods supernatural ability, right? And was a strong human male who could take on any challenge, right? Now, we consider it all a myth, but unless you live back there, you don't know. You don't know. But it's not impossible because the angels in chapter 6 of Genesis became humanoid to interact with women, right? And took of them wives whomever they chose. Now, it was Peter who clues you in, and Jude, right, that they were angels, or angelos, right? That's just the Greek word for messengers, like Hermes, right? And what it means is God sends us messengers from heaven to try and deal with our mortal problems, right? And we got to learn to deal with those things, or we're going to have issues, right? And that's kind of the whole point, right? God's trying to help us deal with our lives. Now, the question is, Moses gave us the law, but some of it was probably based on what he learned from the Egyptians. The only main difference is he didn't want you to worship male or female images as the image of God, right? He gets kind of specific about it in Deuteronomy 4. And then Paul says the male and female are one in Christ Jesus, and you don't seem to make that connection, right? That makes Jesus both. What the Greeks call a hermaphrodite or androgynous being, right? You're not fully androgynous because you're two halves of the whole. If I take a whole and make it two, right, from one, right, and take parts of her from him to make her into her own body, right, they're both in the same body, right, originally, right, and then made two, right. I don't look how Adam looked, because the woman is no longer in me. I'm his son, in his image after the woman was taken out of him, right. Or you're not getting the story. You're changing it into making it look like we look now. When she was in you and taken out of you, right. 50-50, right. That makes Adam both. And Jesus both, right. To be like Adam and Eve, who was still in Adam until after he named the animals, until after he was told not to eat of a certain tree's fruit. but did so anyway because Eve asked the question of her husband. He didn't ask the one telling him and gave a contrary answer. Even if he told her the correct commandment, the last thing Eve heard was, it's the tree in the middle of the garden you're not to eat of, neither touch it lest you die. Well, where did God say that? Nowhere. God did say, though, there's a tree in here I don't want you to eat of, right? And there are at least 25 types of fruit trees on the whole planet. So why is God doing that? Well, I think, like Eve asked Adam, right? Which one is it, dumbass? And Adam didn't know. So I told her, hey, the middle of the garden is one, right? But wait a minute. Looking back in chapter 2, one tree is in the middle of the garden. That's called the tree of life. The other tree wasn't in the middle of the garden and was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This tree would teach you something that if you ate of its fruit of the body, of its body, which is what an apple is or how you reproduce, is, if you ate of it, you would die in the day you ate thereof. And yet Adam lived 930 years, so it obviously was a 24-hour Earth day, it meant, right? Obviously, to it, a day could be as 1,000 years, right? Which means 70 years is missing, right? So, if it's the 7th day, and suddenly you eat of the tree's fruit, and you only live 930 years after, what does that tell you when he ate 70 years after? Duh. Why is that? 70 minus 1,000 is 930, right? That's how long he lived, right? According to who that Moses was. Right. And then Peter takes it up and says 1,000 years is as a day, and a day as 1,000 years, which does what with that statement? If 1,000 years is one day, and one day has 1,000 years, what is that saying? Either way, it's 1,000 years. 6 days, though, is really what? 6,000 years. Not a day. Not a 24-hour Earth day. And you got it all wrong. There are also 10 days of tribulation, John says, right? Well, that's 10,000 years. See, we will be there probably longer, right? Especially if I'm right about day 6, too, right? Because on the earth we have hours, right? And a day is 24 hours, right? And sectioned as an hourglass or a timekeeper or a watch or a sundial, whatever you want to call it, right? And that's how you keep track of the time, right? Now, in Israel, they have what was called the watch, right? You had the night watch and the day time. And one is called hours, right, during the day, and one is called watch at night, right? And it's divided into 24-hour periods, right? Now, a month to the Romans is between 30, 28, and 31 days, right? But to the Jews, it was 28 days to 30, right? And the Muslims, right? And again, that's because they're following a lunar calendar and not a solar calendar, right? The moon also goes around the earth at a certain interval. But what's weird about the moon is the face of the moon is always facing us, right? That's the part that receives the light from the sun, right? But the dark side of the moon is the side we can't see. And the reason for that is why? The front of the moon is always facing us in its